Hello and welcome to Japanese Wrestling with the Maritime Warrior, and today's episode I will be talking about Wrestling International New Generation, also known as WING. After leaving FMW, Kiyoshi Miki Ibaragi and Kazuyoshi Osako founded WING in 1991. WING would be similar to FMW, a hardcore deathmatch promotion. The first two big signings for WING would be Mr. Pogo and Victor Quiñones, who left FMW in favor of WING. Mr. Pogo would be brought in as the top star, but he is a heel, so Ibaragi needed a top babyface. Ibaragi decided his top babyface would be Mitsuteru Tokuda. Tokuda had wrestled for FMW in the past, but the only reason that he was chosen as the top babyface is because he was the second wrestler signed after Mr. Pogo. WING would have a mix of wrestling stars from around the world. Mexican stars like Fishman and Dos Caras, the Headhunters from Puerto Rico, and their own Japanese stars. One of the Japanese stars that they would bring in came in from Pioneer Senshi. This was Yukihiro Kanemura. Kanemura would become a huge part of WING. WING would struggle with their identity in 1991, bringing in karate stars looking to put on martial arts matches, but the fans wanted none of that. The WING audience was interested in seeing big-name legends like Gypsy Joe, Fishman, and Dos Caras booing most everything else. The second tour for WING, they would bring in Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, Danny Davis, and another future big star for WING in Mitsuhiro Matsunaga. Matsunaga had worked for FMW and Pioneer Senshi in the past. Another big name that was brought in by WING would be the legendary masked wrestler Mil Mascaras. One of the big moments that got eyes on WING is when Matsunaga jumped off the balcony at Korakuen Hall onto the Headhunters. That made Matsunaga a top guy in WING. Matsunaga would start a legendary rivalry with Mr. Pogo, and this is when the hardcore style really started to pick up in WING. In one match, Mr. Pogo would blow a fireball onto Matsunaga's head, and his head would catch fire for a few seconds before being extinguished. Unfortunately for Matsunaga, he would break his foot during a match, so would be gone for a few months. Kanemura would be placed in his spot as the top babyface while Matsunaga was absent. Another wrestler making a name for himself would be Jason the Terrible. The gimmick would be that of Jason Voorhees of the Friday the 13th movies. In 1992, WING would get their biggest crowd ever of over 5,000 people to see a main event match of Mr. Pogo versus Matsunaga in a fire death match. WING would give wrestlers horror movie gimmicks like Jason from Friday the 13th, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt, and Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. After a pay dispute, Matsunaga would no-show some WING shows before going back to FMW. Mr. Pogo would also leave WING and make his way back to FMW. This left Kanemura as the ace of WING, and he would start doing more dangerous matches. The most infamous moment in WING would be the fire death match where Kanemura would severely get burned. The match would be between Kanemura and Shoji Nakamaki taking on Jado and Gedo. At the end of the match, Jado and Gedo would powerbomb Kanemura in the fire. This would go terribly wrong as Kanemura would catch fire and he would burn 75% of his back. Another big story from WING would be when Freddy Krueger and Boogeyman would unmask to reveal Eddie and Doug Gilbert. After unmasking, they would pledge their allegiance to Giant Baba and All Japan and leave WING. WING would fold in 1994. Miki Ibaragi would bring back WING in 1995 with wrestlers from Puerto Rico and ECW, but it would fold after just 2 months. In 1997, Mickey Ibaragi would bring back Wing, this time with wrestlers from the AAA promotion in Mexico, but would fold once again after just a few months. In 2001, there would be a reunion show with most of the top stars appearing on the card. They would run a few more shows after this before folding once again. Mickey Ibaragi would bring back Wing in 2009. This would last until 2010. And that was the story of Wing. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you next week.